Hi, since India is on a very good growth story, so everyone is looking to understand how can I get a good valuation of a business and how can get an investor or an IPO into place. So whether you are a startup founder or an old generational family business, in the next 3 minutes I'll be talking about what should be the strategic roadmap around it and how to go about it and what things you need to keep in mind. So first and foremost, you need to understand what are the various options for dilution. So whether you want to go for a strategic investor or you wanted to go for a private equity or you wanted to go for an IPO. So from a strategic investor perspective, generally strategic investor will go for a majority stake into your company, while the private equity player will be flexible for both majority and a minority stake. Now when we talk about the strategic investor, because they will demand a majority stake into your company generally, they will be taking over the leadership of the company, while the private equity player will continue your existing leadership into the company, but the private equity player will set up certain governance and checks and balances in order for your existing leadership to make your process controls more robust. Thirdly, whether it is a strategic investor or a private equity player, the existing promoters will still benefit from the value creation to be made by the strategic investor or private equity player. Now, when you talk about the IPO from a governance perspective is more stringent because it is SEBI regulated and the various checks and balances are already set up by the regulator. But an IPO will increase your share price liquidity in the market. Now let us understand what should be your brand position story. First and foremost, you need to see what is the value that brand is bringing on the table. What is setting you apart from the competitors. Second, what is the target audience? Whether the brand is a strong market fit and what is the growth potential in the brand. Thirdly, what is the scalability? Whether you are able to explore new markets and how you will diversify your brand. Fourthly, what are the financial performance parameters with respect to the past performance and the future performance? The investors will analyze the revenue, margin, EBITDA, and all other ratios. And lastly, the credibility, the what is the reward and recognition that your brand has earned in the market. Now let us understand what should be the strategy roadmap for the dilution. Firstly, you need to prepare a business plan and the investment teaser. Then you need to do the vendor due diligence to understand the checks and balances and the gaps in your system with respect to taxation, regulatory, commercial, etc. Then you need to reach out to various investors and finalize the target investors. And once the investor is identified, the investor will also do the investor due diligence to identify any gaps. And then you will negotiate the deal parameters with the investors and you will structure the deal with respect to the cash payout or the share swap or the business combination, followed by the definitive agreement signing. So when you are thinking of diluting the stake on the company and you are onboarding the investor and structuring the deal, you cannot forget about the tax and regulatory considerations. So firstly, you need to pay the capital gain tax upon sale of shares to the investor. Secondly, one of the most important things is the tax NOC which you need to obtain from the income tax department, because the investor will specifically ask for it if there are any pending litigations in your income tax account. And from a regulatory perspective, if there is a foreign investor, they will do the related FDI filings. Secondly, from a regulatory perspective, you need to see whether the competition commission is applicable or you can be fitted into the various exemption that is given by the competition commission rules. And the third is the stamp duty implication, which you need to pay upon transfer of shares. To wrap up, choosing the right investor, be it a strategic player or a private equity or going public, requires a careful assessment of the company's dilution options, leadership priorities, and your brand positioning. If you want to understand any of the topic in detail, please direct message me and follow me for more updates on these kind of topics. Have a nice day. Thank you.